So I've been asked by a few people to upload a new video, a little bit of an updated one, considering that my last video was done in 2009 with a different van. And so yeah, hopefully this answers any questions that anyone might have been confused with my last video, which was pretty brief. So the first thing that I usually do when I get in the van, obviously I close the door, but I typically lean forward and just try to trigger any spasms in my legs and try to get anything out in my arms, because I just want to make sure that everything will be okay for the next 40 to 45 minutes before I typically have to lean forward again and do it all over again. Now I need to line my chair up, because there's an automatic lock on the floor that my chair bolts into. There's a little bolt hanging attached to the frame, so it locks in automatically. The screen that I'm touching is all touchscreen, capacitive touch, so I can start the ignition and control all the other controls in the van specifically through that screen. I'm obviously only able to do that when I'm not driving, because when I am driving, my hand is preoccupied with the joystick.
I am now verifying your control of the gas brake functions. Please manually operate
so every time I start up the
device
van,
in both the gas
the system
and
does
brake
a
directions.
backup system check to make sure that all of the actuators and the servo motors are functioning properly. So I just need to really quickly check the gas and the brake and the side to side, and if they're all working properly, it lets me continue. And now I just realized that I left my Bluetooth on, so this is why I'm scrambling to turn my phone off, because I don't want YouTube to kick this video off the internet for copyright infringement or something silly like that. But I like my Bluetooth because I can easily access my entire music library specifically through my phone. So what I'm putting on now is just a pretty standard chest strap. I had it specially designed when I had my chair modified a few years ago. And it's just got a standard D-loop. It's actually probably the most difficult thing when it comes to driving, because it takes me forever to get it through the hole and to straighten it out. But eventually I get my thumb through it and across my chest, and that sort of prevents me from doing a face plant on the steering wheel, which is kind of nice. And right now I'm just stretching my arm out one more time just to make sure there's no more spasms hiding in there somewhere. I just reached down again because I felt one sort of on the side of my tricep.
Reverse.
Please confirm reverse.
Reverse.
Reverse confirmed.
So all of my secondary controls, as you can see, are voice activated, so I can control the reverse, drive, neutral, etc. through voice. I can also control my blinkers and the wipers and all of the other controls through my voice. But I really primarily just use my voice for the reverse and drive tools. The voice activation software, it's okay. It's not perfect. If you'll look back in a minute, just to the left of my head, you'll see a little blue button. I use the blue button for all of the other controls.
Drive.
Please confirm drive.
Drive.
Drive confirmed.
So that little blue button just to the left of my head, I'm just going to tap it once right here, and you'll hear the beep, and that has indicated that I've activated the left blinker. And now if I was to hold that button down, and it would beep twice, that would activate the right blinker. So that specific device is called a digitone button. I just found that the voice activation software just really wasn't accurate, and it got to the point where I just wasn't even signaling when I was going out sometimes. So I had that installed last summer with all of the other driving controls when I switched over and I bought this new van. So my accident happened in 2003, and at the time I was pretty convinced that I would be I'd be stuck with people driving me around for the rest of my life, and I'd essentially be a passenger. My first van it was a pretty old Ford E350 extended with the high roof raised, and so I was stuck in the back, and I really could barely even see out the windows, which was incredibly annoying because I could never really see where we were going, and I was just looking at the road in front of us, and so that was pretty irritating. And then in 2007, early 2008, I was doing a bunch of research on my own, and which is always the best kind of research because that's when you find out the most kind of stuff. And I found this company in the States, which is EMC, stands for Electronic Mobility Controls. So EMC, their main head office, I believe, is in Augusta, Maine, but the service plant for the Joystick and all of that is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So anyway, so I found these guys, and they had released a previous system under the same name, which is AEVIT, A-E-V-I-T, and it stands for Advanced Electronic Vehicle Interface Technology. And they had released a previous system, I believe it was in the mid-90s, and it was okay. It didn't have a lot of the more up-to-date stuff. Specifically that touchscreen that I was using, and none of the voice software was available, and it wasn't as good as this. So I found that they were releasing this new version, which was AEVIT 2.0, and they released that in mid to late 2008. So I jumped on board almost immediately and purchased these electronics, and mid-2008, and after a long installation process, as well as attempting to track down a van, which was also the difficult part about the installation, because I had to get a van imported from California, from NorCal Mobility, because in Canada, even though it's such a lovely country, there's some regulation where they can only drop the floor about 6 inches, which is close to being enough, but it didn't give me enough headroom. So in the States you can drop them up to 9 inches. So I had to import a van from NorCal, and which was the large white Ford E250, which some people might have seen in my previous video. But then I quickly realized that the van was enormous, and even though it was nice to be above a lot of other people and being able to see over traffic, it also was difficult to find decent parking spots, especially when you have to get in and out on the right-hand side. There was so many occasions when people would park beside me, and I was essentially trapped, and I'd have to wait for them to come out. So, and also the big thing was I purchased a new house last year, and I was not able to pull into my garage and park, which was really nice, especially during the winter, because I also can't clear the van off with the snow. So if I'm in my garage, it makes my life a little bit easier. which is precisely why I got this minivan. Plus it's a lot easier to control and a lot nicer to drive. And it looks a lot nicer too, I think, but that's not important. I don't want to really sound overly cliche, but in many ways, getting these hand controls and the electronics in this van, it has really changed my life. I don't have to rely on city transportation, or I don't have to rely on trying to track down other people to drive me around. I can literally just go out my front door and I can go wherever I want. It's really hard to put to words, getting that freedom back. I had my license before my accident, so just being able to get that just small piece of freedom, it's hard to explain how awesome that is. The hand controls did take some time to get used to. They're extremely sensitive, and for the first month or so after driving them, I didn't trust myself, and I don't think some of my passengers trusted me either. So at first it might look like it's not going to happen, and that it's going to be impossible to figure out the sensitivity. But just like anything new and learning how to do something new, it really was just a matter of time before I figured it out and was able to drive without a problem at all.
Park.
Please confirm. Park.
Park.
Park. Confirmed. I have detected a loss
So just
of
like with the
ignition.
startup, just to turn the van off, it's just I can do that all through the touch screen, and that button I just hit on the control panel, that unlocked my chair from the easy lock mechanism on the ground. So if I wouldn't touch that, I wouldn't be able to move. And then I just use the remote for the door. I usually just actually stick it in my mouth and just press down the button, because those little tiny buttons on the remotes are really tricky for me to open. And sometimes it takes time, but it works. Stay in the van. Now I can close the van. Ta-da!